Chevrolet and GM are in a whole heap of trouble because their expected breadwinner, the Chevy Colorado, turned out to be a real dud. Horrendous recalls, subpar build quality, and a general indecisiveness of the truck's character and purpose are only a few issues that have left the American automotive giant cornered against its rivals. As a result, GM will have to act fast in fixing these issues as soon as possible, because it's undeniable that the Chevrolet Colorado has a huge problem. System-related recall. What surprised many about the Chevy Colorado is how incredibly poorly built it is compared to its competition. The perfect example of this is the numerous brake-related issues that were so severe they resulted in a recall of a whole heap of trucks, 56,000 units to be exact. You see, some Colorados as well as some GMC Canyons have been known to brake violently without a reason, which could lead to potentially hazardous situations, such as a rear-end collision, which made these two trucks especially scary to drive on highways and open roads. As a result of this malfunction, 4 trucks have been involved in an accident, which led GM to recall a whopping 56,000 units, which is a very big problem for the company's image. Oh, and the irony of it all is the fact that the issue itself was caused by nothing more than a software bug that occurred with the front camera module. You see, the front camera could falsely detect an obstacle on the road, which led to it activating the collision avoidance system and automatic braking, which, rather ironically, resulted in collisions themselves. Apart from this, Colorado is also known for many other minor software issues, which in turn resulted in a stop sale during the first quarter of 2024, because these issues affected more than 15,000 units of the pickup truck. Thankfully, GM was very ravenous with replacing this issue, and as of April, most of these vehicles were recalled, and the faulty front camera module on them has been replaced by a new, properly functioning unit. And it's frankly not uncommon that a new vehicle that utilizes an all-new platform and technology can have quite a bit of issues from the get-go, which is why we must commend GM for fixing them as soon as possible. However, not everything about the Chevy Colorado's issues is safety-related, as the other big problem the truck has is very poor build quality. Honestly, whatever virtues Colorado has, and it has quite a bit, they are all overshadowed by the extremely poor build quality that flaws the truck. Everything on the truck feels very cheap, which is quite a shame because it brings down the whole car. Starting with the most obvious flaw, which is going to be the interior of the Colorado. Virtually every plastic surface on the truck is made from cheap and nasty, hard, scratchy plastics. Granted, this is a utility vehicle. However, that doesn't mean that it should feel like a 90s Econo box on the inside. The Toyota Tacoma and the Ford Ranger are both utility vehicles, yet both trucks make the driver and the passengers feel quite a bit more special when it comes down to their interiors. Granted, this issue is more or less resolved if you opt for the GMC Canyon. However, that pickup truck is considerably more expensive than the Colorado or any of its competitors, making the low-quality interior inexcusable. What's even more depressing is the fact that the interior is so beautifully designed that it honestly deserves a higher level of quality, as the low-quality plastics now leave quite a bit of a bitter taste in the customers' mouths. Apart from this, some owners have also noticed quite a bit of issues with the exterior build quality of the Colorado. The most notable issue is the rust spots that are appearing. Now, sure, rusting is inevitable. However, one must wonder how good these trucks will be in the long run if they already started developing noticeable red spots not even a year into the ownership of the truck. But apart from quality control issues, there's a much more glaring problem that needs to be addressed, and it cannot be fixed with a bit more attention to detail. A conflicted character. What also made us scratch our heads was how incredibly confusing the truck is in terms of its purpose and character. You see, GM tried to make both the Colorado and the Canyon a do-it-all truck. It was planned to be extremely capable off-road, while also offering very solid on-road performance. This is an okay notion and a good way of thinking. However, they executed this idea very poorly. You see, to make the truck good off-road, GM had to make it sit relatively tall, granting it good ground clearance. Now, A high ground clearance also bears with it a high center of gravity, which means that the truck would have to be relatively unstable at higher speeds. To mitigate this, GM decided to fit the Colorado and its brother with stiffer suspension, allowing it to retain quite a bit of composure in the bends. However, this all came at a hefty cost, and that is comfort. As a result, despite being engaging to drive, and despite having terrific off-road performance, the Chevy Colorado and with it the GMC Canyon are nauseating to drive around town or at low speeds, because you'll feel every pothole you encounter with them. And where do people mostly drive? That's right, around cities, which made Colorado quite redundant and incredibly irritating to own in such environments. Honestly, this wasn't a good trade in our opinion, as nobody's buying a mid-sized pickup truck for its driver engagement and dynamic driving. Furthermore, the high ground clearance is also overkill in our opinion, because not everyone is looking for a pickup truck that must be able to go off-roading no matter what. What GM should have done is just offer the truck with a regular suspension, and then add just the jacked-up version for different, more off-road oriented trims, or at least offer a trim level that is more suited for on-road driving than what the current trim levels offer. If GM wanted to make Colorado a true do-it-all pickup truck, they should have opted for more advanced suspension systems, such as an air suspension. However, that would have driven the prices higher and would have made the car much more complicated. Given the build quality issues, we aren't sure we'd want that. That said, they should have invested a bit more money into the Colorado's mechanics, because the Colorado is mechanically outdated compared to its competitors. We know that a pickup truck needs to be dependable, more so than to be modern. However, we have to say that the Colorado is simply way too simple, and that hurts the overall experience. First of all, the powertrain options. Yeah, the 2.7-liter turbocharged inline-4 is a very solid unit. We won't deny that. It can push out a whopping 310 horsepower, which is more than enough for a gasoline-only power plant in a truck of this size. However, the gasoline-only part is where the problem arises, because if you want a hybrid, you'll just have to look elsewhere. There are no alternatives to this power plant, which means that if you're looking for either a more economical powertrain or a torquier one, you'll have to look elsewhere. As a result, Colorado occupies a weird limbo-like position between the Tacoma, which offers a hybrid, and the Ranger, which has a 410 horsepower powertrain and multiple torquey V6 options. This means that you neither have good MPG nor do you get excellent performance from your truck. However, by far the most unbelievable feature of Colorado is the fact that it still uses leaf springs. What is this, 1985? These leaf springs result in the truck being considerably stiffer than it needs to be, without giving it any benefit when it comes down to driving experience. Quite the contrary, leaf springs make the car less engaging to drive compared to an independent rear axle, which most vehicles nowadays use. Now sure, leaf springs are ideal for commercial vehicles, and are much better for carrying larger and heavier items, which might justify their inclusion in Colorado. However, another problem makes their addition and usability highly redundant, and that is the fact that the Colorado simply isn't practical as a utility vehicle. Seriously, GM, what's the point of offering a pickup truck if its bed isn't going to be practical and spacious? The truth is this: the Colorado simply cannot match most of its competitors when it comes down to the cargo area at the back, which is simply unacceptable for a mid-sized pickup truck. The Colorado has a volume of only 42 cubic feet, which is just laughable. For comparison, the Ford Maverick, which is an exponentially smaller truck that is also based on a unibody chassis, has only 8 cubic feet less than it, and offers a more practical approach to the bed itself altogether. And don't even make us mention the Ford Ranger and the Toyota Tacoma, both of which have more than 10 cubic feet more of cargo space compared to the Canyon. That's a whole additional bathtub in the back. The Tacoma also offers a 6-foot bed, making it even more practical for carrying stuff at the cost of interior space. Overall, this, combined with the leaf springs and the fact that Chevy tried to make the truck good at everything, only confirms our opinion that Colorado is simply way too ambitious and not focused enough for its good. It's not a bad truck, mind you, However, it still cannot compete with the new Ranger and the new Tacoma.